We are in the studio. Did we miss a week?
We missed several weeks.
We've been on tour. We've been in Australia, Israel, Monaco, New Jersey. So we are sorry if we missed a week or two fair with our fans, but we're back in the office and we have a guest for you.
Wait a second.
Don't you do the intros?
I will do the intro, but what were you doing in Monaco? Hi, it's Periel.
Hi, could you introduce our guest,
Yes.
please? We have a hush of a guest. We have a huge...
We have an
I want to know about Monaco too, though.
We have an amazing guest.
Amazing.
Hi, I'm Periel. Welcome to And Here's Modi.
Right.
I'm here with Modi, of course, and Leo. And we have a very special guest, Dana Bash, who
Hello.
took the day off from The View and
Okay, so
CNN.
Me and Leo say, come. I say, okay.
Oh, my God.
I'm there.
No, to the
Yeah.
depth. She's coming from The View.
Yeah.
I know.
This poor thing had to look at Joy Behar and now come to me.
She doesn't work on Mondays.
It doesn't work on Mondays?
No.
You got lucky.
No.
Okay, so I'm kidding. I love Joy. We just posted a picture with Joy Behar.
Yeah, you go back.
We met Dana at the West Hampton Performing Center. She came to the meet and greet. Leo took her to take a picture with me and goes, "You look very familiar." And
I'd only been staring at your face on our TV screen for several
Forever,
weeks.
right,
So,
yeah. And we actually were following you before. We don't do news.
That's why you're so happy.
we don't do news. We don't do news, and we don't do politics either. How do you describe us? As
we're politically asexual.
yeah, politically asexual. We know. I know. I mean, I just watch the headlines, and we have you because you're easy. It's just like here's what's happening. Good, and we're moving on.
Good.
It's very, very simple. And to have you on the show is an honor.
It's my honor.
And the fact that you came to the West Hampton show is so great, and it makes me want to ask you right away, what makes you laugh? What?
Well, obviously you.
That's the obvious.
Okay, so the person I laugh the most with is Ali Weisberg-Zelenko, who may or may not be sitting over here.
She came in, this is her friend, and she came in with a surprised look. She did the Prada hat mission look with the watch and the shoes.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you don't, go on my Instagram and see the mission, the women on the mission. She came in on a mission. She's on 39th Street on mission.
Yes, and so she said, I was staying with Ali in the Hamptons, and she said, we're going to go to Modi. And I was like, okay. And
Have you heard of me?
I'd heard of you, but I wasn't honestly like so familiar with your stuff as she was.
Okay.
And I became like an instant addict.
Oh.
No, it's true. First of all, because it's like you know.
Yeah.
Like there's so much of what you say, and the reason why we laugh is because it's like so many layers deep,
Right.
in our culture and in our religion and in our families and all of that. I mean, it's just side-splittingly funny.
I'm so
That's
happy.
it. That's the episode.
it.
We can just grab that.
Our
and roll
sponsors,
that.
our sponsors are A&E.
But can I tell you something else that I've done since, because it's been a rough month
Yeah.
for lots of reasons. I literally go on your Instagram and I'll just like play. Really, I do often play the Mission Part 1 and 2 because it's so funny, and it just makes me laugh. It takes me to a happy place.
That's so
thank
nice
you.
to hear.
Yeah.
So
Thank
you were the friend who brought the friend to the comedy show. Ali was.
Yes,
we
exactly.
always say.
She followed your rules.
We always
Amazing.
say, be the
Advice.
friend who brings
Last
the friend.
night I was at my friend's Upshornen, which is another
I'm
thing.
sorry?
I know. It's when you cut the child's hair at the age of 3.
3.
Right. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have thoughts
Leo,
about
of course,
it, so I'm going to keep it to myself.
Leo's like, stop cutting these kids. But
What do you mean?
It's just hair.
okay,
Leave the kids alone.
we
You
have to
mean
brief.
because of the bris, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh.
we have to bring prep to
I'm
in
with
many
that.
religious, in many homes, sometimes not religious, they let the child, the boy's hair grow till he's 3 years old.
I did that too, but
you
I
did?
just kept letting it grow.
Oh, but just because you wanted your kid to be a punk.
No,
and to be
I was gonna do it. I mean, I don't know. Is it like a religious thing or?
It's a religious thing, and then on the third birthday you cut the hair, and it's like this very cute.
Do you know what the reason is for that? I can't
There's a few
remember.
reasons that there's kabbalistically the hair has a whole thing, and you're bringing the child into. Then he gets his hair cut. Looks like a boy, and you also on that third birthday you give him his tzitzis, and you give him the ABC, the alphabet, of the Hebrew, and they make a thing with it. It's a big traditional thing to let the kid know you're going to go to school now and learn to be.
Did you have that?
No. No, I had cute hair and I had lice, so they kept the head.
You had lice.
I have a picture.
Not
of
you
me
being a
with lice.
licey kid.
Everybody in Israel has lice. All the
Um,
kids in Israel have lice.
You are here to talk about your book, really.
No, I'd like to hear more about lice.
Okay, well, I'll let you
No.
steer
But
the
why was I
the
even on that? Why
conversation.
was I even on that?
The upshorn? What's
The
it
upshorn,
called?
yeah.
It's like a sheep.
Well, because she was talking about things that are layered within the culture, and you
said
you brought
yesterday
that
I was
up.
at my friend's.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. The book. Leo read the book. I can't read. Leo read the book. He read the book in between Australia and Israel and Monaco.
Oh my gosh.
That was the.
Yeah. It was a refresher in American history.
A refresher. To me, it was a newer.
Okay.
Like,
yeah. No. I mean.
Wait, the book is called America's Deadliest Election, The Cautionary Tale of the Most Violent Election in American History. Wow.
which is not 2020.
No. Do you want to walk us through it in broad strokes a little bit?
Broad strokes.
You're.
It's go back to the 1870s. Civil War is over. Reconstruction begins. They're trying to rebuild the South. There is the first election in this. It happened all over the South, but this particular book takes place in Louisiana. The first election after Louisiana got its constitution post-Civil War was 1868, and they elected. It was the first time black men, only men, could vote. They elected a slew of Republicans, because remember back then the Republicans were the party of Lincoln and the Democrats were the segregationists. They elected a lot of black legislators. And the white racists were like, whoa.
Got scared.
Whoa, we can't allow this to happen.
Right.
Like, first we lost our slaves, and now they're going to have equal rights? Like, forget it. So they learned in 1872, which is where this book mostly takes place, that the best way to keep blacks from getting equal rights is to stop them at the ballot box, stop them from voting. And so they manipulated the vote. They disenfranchised a lot of black voters, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. They manipulated the way the votes were counted, and there was total chaos, fraud, and violence. And it ended up it was impossible to know who won the election. So there were two governors sworn
And two
in.
capitals.
Two capitals.
Which I thought was very interesting. Shreveport and New Orleans,
New
right?
Orleans, yeah. Two legislatures sworn in, and nobody would give it up. And it was just a total bedlam. And there was also a lot of violence. Blacks were brutally murdered in cold blood. And in fact, there was one massacre that was so bad that there was a prosecution. The prosecution was put into the federal court because the state court, they realized there was no way that these white people who killed black men were going to, there's no way that would be a fair trial. They would just get off. Went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said federal courts should not be involved, the federal government should not be involved in civil rights and election law. So it left it up to the states. So you hear like states' rights.
Which led up to kind of the Jim Crow.
And that led to Jim Crow.
Yeah.
That led to Jim Crow, and for 100 years, for a century.
Wow.
And it all started with Louisiana in 1872.
So obviously you are an unbelievable investigative journalist. Am I right?
I wouldn't say investigative.
I'm not an investigative journalist per se.
That's
I-
investigation.
Well-
This is research.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to my co-author who totally candid. He did like all of the research. I mean, he did a lot of it.
How
And it's
long
actually
how long did it take to research?
I mean, like a
Year?
year.
Yeah.
But you know what's really interesting, which I didn't know, which now I'm glad I know? Much of this comes from newspapers at the time. So I know. And you know where you can find it? Newspapers.com. Who knew? All of the
Wow.
newspapers from forever,
Wow.
including the 1860s and 70s, are all on newspapers.com.
Yeah,
Wow.
most of the citations on here are from newspapers.
Yeah, because the newspapers, they came out like multiple times a day, and they were partisan. They were all partisan newspapers.
I have news for you. They're still partisan.
Well, I know, but that's what's so interesting is that, you know, you think that it's like a new phenomenon that you have the partisan media, but it's not.
But
So-
they used to say, at least, like, we're partisan, right? Like, they
It was
identified.
really, I don't know that I like openly identified, but it was very, like everybody knew if they were buying the Times-Picayune in New Orleans, they knew it was like the Democrats' paper.
So I want to talk to you or just ask you about Warmoth
Oh, yeah.
because he's a major player in the book.
Apparently he was very handsome.
Yes, there's several descriptions of his having a very nice face. But also, I'm going to read a quick paragraph
Okay.
that I thought was interesting. His words were as smooth and reassuring as his appearance. Supporters admired him for his refreshing candor. Opponents found him loud and abrasive. His strength as a politician lay in his claim that he was not a politician. He successfully forged an image as the honest representative of the common man, which was why he contended powerful politicians continually attacked him. As he told a Chicago Tribune reporter, quote, "I don't pretend to be honest. I only pretend to be as honest as anybody in politics, and more so than those fellows who are opposing me now." Sure sounds a whole lot
Doesn't that sound
like a
familiar?
certain someone. I mean, what was going through your head like while you were learning about this character from
putting
history?
or putting that paragraph together.
Yeah, I mean, the similarities are striking. And it just is a reminder when you have somebody who is charismatic, who captures the attention and the love of people, even people who, and this is true now and that was true then, people who support him even though he is not pushing for your interests.
Right.
Because you just are drawn to him. There, he has like a magnetic pull.
Absolutely.
I mean, people loved to love him and they loved to hate him. And again, it's like
But the people who hated him seem to make the ones who love him more.
Yes.
Which is what I thought was so
Also
interesting
similar.
and such a parallel to
also
what we're
similar.
seeing.
There's a backlash.
Right.
Yeah, like, and it that included, which is so when I said that even people liked him even though he was not looking out for their interests. When he first ran, Warmoth first ran in 1868, he ran as a Republican, and he ran and won by getting a lot of black votes.
But he turned his back on them.
And then he turned his back on them, and the only reason is because he was a Republican. The Republican Party was fractured. They turned on him, so he didn't have a future in the Republican Party. So he just bolted from the Republican Party and was known as a fusionist and wasn't a full Democrat, but linked up with the segregationists, with the racists. And that's what he was pushing in 1872 when there was all this chaos. And yet there were still a lot of black voters who supported him because of what he had said way back
Before.
in 1868. And that
Sounds like a lot of misinformation and fake news to me. Not knowing
Yeah.
who to believe
Right.
and living in a bit of an echo
or
chamber.
just a connection that people find to a person, and that is true. I mean, that's been true historically in the United States. It's definitely been true in Europe and elsewhere, that there is just a thing about a charismatic figure, and that charismatic figure isn't always out for good.
Right.
Right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For everything that you've seen, which is probably close to everything, is there anything that happens that like will still shock you that you can talk about on air? Like, is there anything that's happened that you have to like really like take a moment and be like,
Yeah, I mean, yes, I am. I'm shocked, but not as surprised anymore. I mean, I'm telling you, when I was sitting in the studio, I wasn't on Capitol Hill on January 6th. When I was in the studio and I was watching that, I literally couldn't breathe. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I covered Congress on and off for 20 years.
Right.
So I walked through those halls. I know those halls. I know exactly what, and my friends were in there. Never mind members of Congress. My friends and my colleagues were in the building. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening in the United States. I still can't believe it.
Right.
I still cannot believe it. And then now here we are at a time and a place where there's a whitewash. Like, oh, that didn't really happen.
Right.
They were just tourists, so they were just protesting, and
they'll be
wasn't so
freed
bad.
in a
It's
certain
like,
situation.
I'm sorry, like, did you not
Yeah.
see it with your eyes? Do
Right.
you want me to roll the tape?
The part for me that's so frustrating about January 6th is that it came from these people who harped on and on about law and order and
Right.
flipping the script into Blue Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there are police officers
Yep.
who died on that day. So
Yeah.
there's a
And I know a
little.
lot of the officers, and even those who didn't lose their lives, they are traumatized.
Yes.
course.
Yeah, a lot of them
Traumatized.
have
But
PTSD.
what she was asking, like that nothing shocks you, was with a question I was wanting to, with your poker face that you have to have when you're doing these interviews.
I'm not always so great at the poker face.
I think so. I think you are.
Really?
I think you are.
Okay.
Because we watched
Okay.
to make sure that we're prepared for today.
Okay.
I was like, she has a poker face. These people are saying insane things, and she is just like, I'd be like, hello. What are you saying? And you're completely programmed. And I was telling before, I was saying they say that the hardest emotion to hide is not happiness or sadness; it's boredom. I think it's shock. Like when someone just says something like, "Today is Thursday," and saying it even though it's Friday, and you're sitting there and you have to listen to them, and you can't say no. Today's you in those interviews, don't you? What's going through your? How do you control yourself?
Well, I mean, when things are that blatant,
Yeah.
and even when they're not that blatant, I mean, that is our job to be like, no, it's actually Thursday, it's Friday. I mean, it's not Friday, it's Thursday. That's the fact. And if they're not going to accept it, I say it, and then put a button on it, and then move on.
And then you move on.
But sometimes, and I don't do this intentionally, but sometimes I've been told that my face actually is a tell. That's why I didn't think I have that much of a poker face. When somebody is saying something that is like, I mean, I had a very spirited exchange with J.D. Vance a couple of weeks ago, and he said, well, maybe sometimes we have to create stories. This is about the eating of the cats and
I
dogs.
saw
which
that.
is not
Yes.
true.
Oh, wow.
And I did go back and look at it. I was like, it was like Scooby-Doo, the Scooby-Doo, like,
Yeah, ruh-roh.
I had a Scooby-Doo
So
face.
I listened to the interview you did with Sarah Longfellow. And
Longwell.
Sorry, apologies, Sarah. And you touched on how CNN handled the debate versus ABC handling debate with live fact checking. And you said something really interesting about where you decide to draw the line, because you said if you're going to fact check live, you better sure as hell be right.
Yep.
Is what you said.
Yep.
So and then you made some comments that I would like to hear from you again, maybe like how you start drawing the line of like what to fact check and what not to fact check when there's so many different versions of the truth. Because, for example, that story of the people eating the cats and the dogs was based in some story where they were eating a goose in a park or something like that.
I don't even know if that's true.
Oh,
I mean, that's the thing. I'm not saying that what you're saying isn't true. Like, we don't even have evidence of that.
right. But so in terms of just live fact checking during
Yeah.
a debate, like your experience versus what you saw on ABC, what was going through your head when they were doing that?
When ABC was doing it?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, they're taking a different approach. And look, I mean, the way that we came at it, it was the first debate, obviously, and it was the first time that a network had, in decades, a network had done its own debate, because there was a commission on presidential debates that kind of set the rules, and then they picked the moderators, and every single network just took it live.
Right.
And nobody wanted that, so they got rid of that, and they chose us in conjunction with, it was really the Biden campaign that was driving it, because they wanted to do an early debate. And we came at it as that we were going to approach it like a traditional debate, which is pretty much since Nixon Kennedy in 1960, it was, we are the facilitators. We ask the question. If we don't get an answer, we have time, if the rules allow it, and in this case it did, for a follow-up. But if and when a candidate says something that is just not true, that's what the opponent is there for.
Right.
We just approached it very differently from what I was just talking about with you about, like, any interview that I'll do. or with J.D. Vance or even a Democrat where they'll say something that's just not right, I'm prepared with a follow-up and fact-checking.
Okay.
And because I'm the person there, I'm the only person there, their opponent isn't there. But when their opponent is there, our approach was, it's up to them.
Right.
ABC did it differently. They took a different approach. I will say, if you just go back to our debate for 1 second,
The Joe Biden
to the Joe Biden Trump debate
yeah.
on June 27th, I'll just give you a little scoop here that if Trump had said the election is stolen, the 2020 election was stolen, we would have fact checked him.
Okay.
But he didn't.
That was the one note prep that you had.
Like so we were, like
asterisk.
if you like something that is just so rooted in just danger to democracy. Not to say that a politician lying 30 times like he did, which we did fact check real time online and afterwards with our fact checkers, is not great. It's,
not great.
It's not great. But also, like, imagine if we jumped in, given the debate that occurred.
Yeah.
It would have given him more ammunition.
We would have been accused of doing Joe Biden's job for him.
Right.
So, look,
it's a fine line.
It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
I don't think that
it's so in the moment.
It's so in the moment.
There's
no real right answer.
Right.
And I don't begrudge ABC for doing it the way they did it. They just took a different approach, and I think we might see a different approach with CBS.
And on a complete, that is a debate that changed so much.
It did.
In Harvard government school and in whatever government schools that they have, that debate's going to be like you're in it.
Yeah, it was.
Is that insane?
It was wild.
Is it you're in the debate?
We were can I curse on this?
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
We were both like, holy shit, what is happening?
Is
we spent days and days and tens of hours preparing, and we do mock debates, and if this then that, if that then this.
She's not allowed to say.
We have producers who play the role.
We do that. We do that too here. I play Modi.
Yeah. I want to hear your Modi.
Are they dressed up like the characters too, or is it just like?
No.
No.
I'm trying to think.
There's no orange face involved.
But it's something that, like, in years from now, people will be like, you were the moderator of the debate that a president popped out of. So
it's wild.
Well, what I was going to say is that so we prepared for so many different scenarios, because it was actually also complicated because the rules were that the microphone was turned off when the other person was speaking,
I remember that being a big
which is something that the Biden people wanted. Turned out to have really helped Trump.
Yeah.
In retrospect,
it'd be fun if Alec Baldwin came and played Trump or something.
It's listen. We are asexually political.
Politically asexual. Also,
you're gonna use it correctly.
Okay, so that's why I have Leo here, and he reads nice. There were like lines that were lobbied to Joe Biden. When Donald Trump said the most embarrassing day in our life was when we pulled out of Afghanistan, I mean,
it was set up for him.
It was set up to go, I'm almost sure that the insurrection was that's all he had to say, and he didn't hit those lines.
Yeah.
And that's when that's when I guess the world realized, or his policy, that he can't handle this.
So that brings me,
and I'm gonna say something to Mashiach Energy. Joe Biden is an example to the world of do not give up. This man has been in politics since the age of 6 with his eye on the presidency. And right when you think he could never make president, he still is the president of the United States of America. Whatever happened to get him there, he got there. He never quit. It's an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
So again, we are not giving you...
Something else you said that I thought was very interesting on Sarah's podcast was that, I'm forgetting the name, but you spoke about the person who basically acted as like the creative director for Trump's initial campaign or ran his digital ads.
Yeah, Brad Parscale.
You said that he used the iPod commercials as an example of like where his sort of genesis of...
I saw that.
And if you think about it, the iPod commercials were what you said. It was kind of like a man in silhouette, just kind of dancing to music. It didn't tell you anything about how the iPod actually worked. It just told you how it made you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Can you?
Yeah, and that was the way that they approached the entire Trump campaign in 2016. Hillary Clinton, because she's Hillary Clinton and she's also a woman, and
people hate women.
Women have to come to the table with a lot more prep than men. Still, that's just
or apparently that doesn't matter at all.
Well, and she and she wanted to, so she came to the table, to the campaign, and she had 17-point plans for all of her 25-point plans. I mean, she had detailed policy plans on everything that she would do if she was president. Donald Trump did not. We knew we thought he would build a wall, and he said he would repeal Obamacare and something about trade deals, and that was kind of it. And nobody really cared.
Nope.
I mean, I didn't say nobody. A lot of people cared, but not enough. He won because he made people feel, and he made people feel angry, but he also made people feel seen.
Right.
Who felt like they weren't seen before. And so I actually think it's interesting if you go to this election, Kamala Harris is now making people feel. Her whole thing is the Joy campaign and the Brat Summer and all of that.
Right.
And yet there's definitely a bit of a double standard.
For sure.
Yeah,
Because a lot, and it's not us in the media. You talk to voters and they say, well, what does she stand for? It's well, what does Trump stand for? What is he going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I think, to be fair, the difference is that he was president, and people were okay, well, I had more money in my pocket back then, and for whatever reason. And
Right.
so, but it is an interesting dynamic that's going on, and
It's not how it works. It's how you make it.
It's how you make it feel.
Yeah.
It's not. It's the vibe they give out.
Yeah.
So some people you look around the world, and majority of the leaders of countries are absolute lunatic maniacs, and some Americans are we want a maniac. We want some guy who's crazy too. We'll show you crazy. Or hey, we need someone who's speaking like she just took a Xanax, and maybe that's the vibe, and maybe that'll cool everybody else down. So it's all in their heads.
Well, it's just for Trump, where it just feels like everything just works out for him, including grazing a bullet.
No.
It's not even that it works out for him. It's it works to his
benefit. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel like Henry Clay Warmoth.
Yeah.
I feel like Trump is the reincarnation of him, because there are some very vivid details in this book.
He's such a the research he did. He's such a good boy.
I mean, there's a story about how he beats someone back from he needs to get from New York back to Louisiana to make sure that he can rig this election the way it needs to be rigged.
Yep.
And he beats someone by interfering with railroad lines, sabotage, and sets a record for time travel between New York and Louisiana. It's he bends time and space, and things work out for him.
Yep.
I mean, you had to think the same thing when you were doing some of the research for this.
It really is like a movie.
We're on a flight. He's reading the book. I'm listening to cantorial music, and he puts the book down, and I go to him. No. So
No,
he goes, nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. we're a mess. We were a hot mess. Nothing's changed. That's literally the book.
But I also thought it was very the details you went into in terms of how far they went to disenfranchise voters and to prevent people from registering to vote, and then once they were registered to vote, hiding ballot boxes. Where you mentioned they were putting ballot boxes on islands, in chicken coops, in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
What do you feel about the parallels of how that is happening today in terms of voter registration?
You said that you said from the research I'm able to do, I can't read, but you
Stop
said
saying that.
You said that that this election, there's no way we're going to have the results on
We're not.
We're
not, but that's
election
not because
day.
of fraud. I think that there's something that is important to say. The big difference between, we haven't had this election yet, so 2020 and 1872 is that there was actual real fraud and corruption then, real fraud and corruption. In 2020, there were allegations and no evidence was shown to many, many judges, many, many courts of law. Even Donald Trump's own Attorney General, Bill Barr, said that's not a thing.
Right.
And so that's a really big difference. And I listen, are there things that go haywire sometimes? Absolutely. But when it comes to the security of elections, I feel like we're in pretty good hands when it comes to the voting and making sure that all that stuff is locked down.
That's encouraging.
It's encouraging. I thought you were going to go the other way.
No, but here's okay.
Okay.
Don't worry. Don't get so excited. But the question is, before they get to the voting, I mean, there's like counting the votes, but then there's pre-voting.
Right.
And I just hope that the election workers who feel intimidated, these poor people who are, many of them are just volunteering.
Right.
Because it's a public service.
Yeah.
And all the people who are in and around the process of getting people ballots, allowing people to vote, manning the stations, that is the one area where I really hope that there is not.
Well, thankfully, it's not
Yeah.
1872, and you know, because you speak about how analog the system was, and how
so
it was
analog.
a physical coupon, and people were, you know, distributing fraudulent ones.
How
you
about
know,
when they used to get people drunk?
cooping?
Cooping.
Yes.
Did you know about cooping?
I did not know about cooping.
And
Would
do
you
know
like to tell?
Edgar Allan Poe apparently was cooped.
Right.
So they would get
I
people.
think I was cooped in my 20s. What is this? What is this?
kind of like
I may have been cooped.
it's like a roofie.
Politically
version of
roofied.
voting. Yeah.
Do you want
we
to
get
tell
one?
people what cooping
So
is?
what they would do is they would get people. Somebody would go vote,
Yeah.
and then they would go to a bar, and then the people who are trying to rig the election would get those people drunk, and dress them up, and get them to go vote again. And then other times they would get them drunk and just keep them in, and then get them arrested so they couldn't vote.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But how could you
Were
go
you
back and
cooped?
vote
Were you
again?
cooped? If you're a new outfit.
You just put on a
Outfit
new
change,
outfit. Yeah. There's no
There's
no biometric scanning like
Oh
getting
my
on a Delta
God.
flight, honey.
It's like when you get into drag or something.
Okay.
Well,
and that was another thing.
You said because men would vote,
Yeah.
and then they would get dressed up as women and vote again,
Yeah.
and then they were like, "All right, no more women
no more
voting."
women voting. In a couple of states, they allowed women to vote.
Yeah.
And because the men pretended to be women,
So
they took
crazy.
the right to vote
crazy.
away
Wait,
from women.
I'm gonna switch gears.
The
for
drag-
one
I'm gonna switch
second.
gears
The
too.
war on
Switch
drag
gears
queens.
too.
This is very
really
serious.
started.
Are you guys always this serious?
Never.
never.
Oh my God. That's only because Leo read your book.
No, I feel like we usually just sit here and putz around.
No,
this
we
is an
putz.
important topic.
I was ready to putz around with you. I was.
Did you use the word putz around, the term putz around before you met him?
That's a great question,
He
and I
speaks
don't know.
fluent Yiddish. It's amazing. Leo speaks the best Yiddish in the world.
We usually have the most dumb conversations here.
We
We have
don't.
like
Our
a leading
audience-
I'm here for
political
anything.
journalist here.
Our audience is nothing political. They come.
You're
they-
wrong.
I mean, okay, yes.
You're wrong.
Our audience is not a
Politically asexual.
asexual. Our audience has, and it is down the line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you say, "Hey,"
so
I
interesting.
would never say about who hears Trump or who hears Biden, Harris. It would be 50-50.
Yeah.
Who here is going to go get vaccinated?
So
who here is
you're-
not? 50-50.
So your audience is the country.
My audience is the country.
'Cause that's where the country is.
And Jewish within that country.
Yeah.
It's just so split down the middle. I need to know, you're Jewish.
I'm Jewish.
You're Jewish. People know that.
Yeah. Proudly so.
And like when they watch you, do they think, like when we watch Anderson Cooper, we know he's gay. And like, okay,
I
so
thought you were
this
going to
is
say we know he's a wasp.
That too.
that too. But like, does that like? But we also know like Wolf Blitzer is Jewish. But like,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say gay. I was like, what?
no, he's just nervous.
That's called a bear, not a wolf. Folks,
He's the funny one. He's the funny one. I'm the hot one. I'm the hot one. I don't know if you know that. He's the funny one. But like, does it
Shkaya.
do people that's good, right? Very good. Shkoyach on
Are
that.
you Jewish? Okay.
Yeah. Hilarious. She just asked you if you were Jewish. Oh,
Well, I'm
she
going to
is,
see
she
your
is.
thing, yeah.
no.
Well, I actually, you don't have to be Jewish.
So,
to
so
have one of those.
have you
A
been
lot of
taking
not a lot of
heat?
non-Jews wear
Have you
them.
been taking heat for being Jewish and the world sees you? They know who you are. Have you been taking heat?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though you're blonde?
Yes, I know. We can't fool them with our products that we use.
How does that feel? What's
sucks.
It sucks, right?
Is it shocking?
Kinda. I think the thing that's really disappointing is that my coverage is not any different from, you mentioned Anderson. I don't want to put a target on him. But
No.
he and other colleagues. And the only difference is that I'm Jewish. Jake
Right.
Tapper also has gotten a lot of shit.
He's Jewish
Is
too.
Jake
we
Jewish?
didn't know. We didn't know
Yeah.
if he was Jewish or
We
not.
could have just Googled it, but we were just
Yeah.
talking about
Too
it.
lazy.
And sorry, that's what I'm here for.
But when you just had that a few posts back, like maybe 6 posts back, you had you covering anti-Semitism, like the different parties are, but you did it as
a reporter.
a reporter.
Right.
There was not like an I think.
Right.
It wasn't like,
No,
you
I
know.
don't do an I think.
Obviously,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah, but some people do, but
But
it's not my
again,
thing.
in the back of your head, what's the inner dialogue you're having in your head?
That we need to call things out when we see it, but I also know that
You can't say it.
No, I also know that there's going to be a lot of, the internet is very, very ugly.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's
very ugly.
bleak.
I heard.
It is
Yeah.
a dark
I
place.
heard.
But it's sad. Listen, I spent my whole life hearing, like we all did, never again, and, how bad it was. And my grandparents came here in 1941. They escaped Nazi Europe.
Wow.
And my great-grandparents were murdered at Auschwitz. My great-aunt, we think, died on the death march, but we're not sure. And it always seemed so foreign to me, even though it was 2 generations, a generation and a half. Like, Europe must have been really backwards. Of course, we know it wasn't. Germany was like the most sophisticated,
Correct. Yeah.
Democratic.
avant-garde, democratic, cultured place in all of Europe.
Yeah.
And then they devolved.
Right.
And it is like, I genuinely don't think we're anywhere near there, but you can see Allie's like,
Just like your book shows where.
but I don't,
you know,
but you can see the parallels.
Of course, but it's again. I have a lot of Holocaust survivors. On the way here, I spoke to a 93-year-old Holocaust survivor, Dina's father. Called in to
Obviously.
check in
Oh.
how the Upshonen was, and it always gives me a blessing. And always I always bless him, and we bless each other. And before shows, I do show. And he when you say to them never again, they knew it was going to happen again.
Right.
That's
That's why
the
they
thing.
kept saying it.
They-
No, that's the thing. Is
Right.
that like that's exactly right? Is that I kind of growing up, I was like, okay, already, never again. Like, I didn't get it.
They knew
They
it was
know
going to
that
be
once
an
you
again.
once you're far enough away,
The
generationally from it.
right.
A lot of the young people today, they don't know from it. The Holocaust education has just dropped off.
Oh, completely.
And now we have like social media and algorithms and pushing horrible things to people, and they're being taught things that are not
right.
even-handed in schools, especially at universities, and it's scary.
But I've said it before on the podcast, but the never again is they're going to keep coming at us and trying to kill us and attack us and ruin good things. But the never again is that they will not feel punishment for it. They came in Gaza, and now there is no Gaza. That never again. It's not like you just get away with killing Jews. And Hezbollah, this is all happening right now. I'm not sure when this is going to be airing, but this is, on the Tales of Hezbollah, and Iran now is hiding all their leaders underground so the never again is you're going to feel it if you come for us.
To speak about what you said about Holocaust education and there's a lot of noise in the media. Like, I have family members who will not watch CNN, are only watching Fox News, will vote for Trump no matter, even if he does go on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone, like he said.
Yeah.
I guess what would you like people to know about as like a broadcast journalist? Like, what do you think is important in terms of like teaching students media literacy when
Such a good question.
they are on their phones all day?
Isn't it good?
He's good. You should
He's
keep
so
him.
no, we can't. Oh,
He is
I'm
locked
hoping he keeps
down.
me.
I was a journalism major. I mean,
No,
it
I
didn't
remember
really.
you telling me that. I think that I think it's really easy, especially since look, kids today now I sound like like my grandparents, but they don't sit and watch the news.
Right.
They don't read the newspaper.
Correct.
Whether it's, I mean, obviously, no way in print that you like feel with your hands, but even online, they'll look at a clip, or they'll look at TikTok, they'll look at Reels, and you got to know who these people are, where they're coming from, and have to also have in your brain that if you watch something and then your phone or your social media platform starts sending you a bunch of stuff
Right.
that's just like that, there's a reason for it. And so try to like outsmart the algorithm. Read something or watch something that has a different point of view.
Right.
Or just make yourself do that. And it takes a lot more time and energy to do that, especially when the phone is just feeding you stuff that it wants you to.
I have again. We do not watch the news unless we are on tour
I
somewhere.
read the news, and
No.
I do make it a point to see what all sides are saying about
But
a
in
particular
clips,
story.
I'll do CNN headlines. I'll do Fox headlines because I enjoy a good laugh. But we're not going to sit and watch because basically I grew up 70s, 80s, 90s where 10 o'clock, you put the news on.
Exactly.
The guy gave you the news. The president today went to here and here. This happened, that and that. Storm over there. And the fireman saved the cat from a roof. Tomorrow's going to be rainy. Yeah, done.
Yep.
That was it. Now it's like, today Trump said this and this and that. And now we have the chief anchor of this, the doorman that was in the building next door, the gardener of the guy he was talking about, and this woman who serves coffee to and those four people now are going to give their opinion of what this
Right.
guy just said. Who has time for that?
A lot of people are really into it. It's like, I call it infotainment.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Not on CNN.
No, but
in other
we
places.
know people who have this in their house running
24/7.
No, it's a nightmare.
7. I said to my friend, I go, what are you doing? Besides the fact that that's all happening, that this guy's yelling his opinion out, the doorman from the whoever he was there. In between that is the commercials for the most horrific diseases ever heard of in the world. Truizia, Trizizia. Do you have plaque psoriasis and arthritis?
Listen, we're not sponsored by Big Pharma, so you can cut it out
and
right
that.
now.
Do you have all of this? Tell your doctor. You can't that's in the walls of your house. That's in you have
Not
to
in my
sage-
house.
People, you have to sage your homes, especially now before Yontif, before the Rosh Hashanah. Sage your homes. Make sure you have rituals to get that energy out of the house. Those televisions bring in crazy energy. Not your show. Your show brings comfort and a sense of calm.
So how are
Wait.
you feeling? Optimistic? Pessimistic? What's the vibe for November? I mean, just
I don't-
in general,
What's your New Year's resolution?
Yeah. My New Year, my Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah,
New Year's
Rosh
resolution
Hashanah.
is
Rosh
to
Hashanah is the
survive-
Jewish New Year's.
Is
To survive.
to survive through the Christian New Year's on December 31st.
On December. No, you're doing more than surviving. You're
I'm kidding. No. I mean, honestly, we just have to. I have been out of the prediction business since 2016. So
The prediction business.
Yeah, like I'm out of it. So we just have to.
No, not in terms of
follow the
prediction,
voters.
but-
how am I gonna?
in,
Go ahead.
I guess, is there going to be
I hope not.
a repeat?
I hope not. I mean, that was really ugly in 1872.
We're not doing that amazing right now. Just saying.
No, but it's not. It's
It's not that. It's
I
not
think
that.
if you want to be optimistic,
Yes.
which let's try to be optimistic.
Yes.
It was really ugly in the Civil War, and it continued to be ugly in the 10 years following the Civil War as the country tried to get back together, and very violent. And, the country almost got ripped back apart. A lot worse than it is now. Now we have everything travels at warp speed with social media. Then it was like, they had the telegraph, which was like the biggest technology in the world back then, and things could move a lot faster. Imagine
Right.
if that happened now. So
I think that's
But I
a
do
really
think
good
it
way to
will.
think about
Yeah.
it. It's like
Oh.
we don't want to break up as a country. We want to stay
Do we?
together. Well,
But,
yeah, I think you want to
do
find.
we?
I think yes. I think we have to.
I think some of the states can go.
I think
would
we,
miss
we,
that.
I have. I
Hilarious.
think we have an unbelievable guest on the podcast. I want to ask you personal questions.
okay.
So I saw when you came to see me after, like, we realized who you were. It was a hot.
No, can
minute.
I just add color to that
Yes.
situation? You came to the meet and greet after the show.
Yes.
I usually stand there, I take people's phones, I snap the pictures, they walk away. What happens in those situations usually is or a lot of times people come up to me and say, "You remember me," because they were at a
No.
different show or something.
It's so hard.
And you have that face because you're on TV where you just trigger something in my brain. So I was trying to get ahead of the ball and I was like, "Oh, I know you." And you were like, "No, you don't." And then you snapped a picture. And then I was like, "Oh my God," I felt so stupid.
When we do the things that we hate people do to us.
Yeah.
But people did then recognize you. And we saw that. And, like, what's the nicest compliment somebody ever gave you?
Thank you for standing up for the truth.
Okay.
That goes a long, long way.
Yeah.
Because I'm here, I will say that when people say that I know people are like, "Oh, Jews in the media," like everybody, there are a lot of Jews in the media. That's not necessarily true when it comes to a lot of things, but mostly when it comes to sort of representation. And I'm not afraid to, not when I cover the news, but I'm not afraid to talk about the fact that I'm Jewish on the air.
Right.
I mean, I got to go with Wolf Blitzer a year and a half ago to Poland. We went to
yeah.
Auschwitz and we're very open about our families and people appreciate that. And so
for sure.
that makes me feel like
Yeah,
I'm
it's
doing
really-
It's like a
it's really
doctor that goes
important.
into work on a patient. Your religion is out of it. When you're showing the news,
Right.
here's what I have to do.
Right.
I have to tell you what happened today. I have to tell you what this person's thoughts are before you elect them, and that's your job. Am I right?
Yes.
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 Do you have a dream guest? Like, is there somebody who you'd be so excited to?
Besides me.
I was going to say Modi and
Yes.
Leo and you guys.
We're
That would
available.
actually be fun. Do I have a dream guest? Well,
We can play Dead or Alive if you want.
always,
No, we can
well,
play-
it's funny you say that because it was always the Queen.
Really?
Oh,
Interesting.
Wow.
It was always the Queen.
You have walked into the correct
Well,
room
we can get-
today.
we have two queens if you want. We'll give you two queens. Two for the
take
price
it.
of one.
I'll take it.
Wait, but your game that you play, hit it or
Oh, that was fun.
I love it.
Had it or hit it.
had it or hit
Yeah,
it.
that was from the I've Had It podcast.
Yeah, that's from a different
It's a
podcast.
different- I know, but
They're
when
great.
I watch it,
But they wanted to catch on, so we can do it.
it's so good.
Yeah.
Hit it or had it.
So the Queen was your dream.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
I have so many questions for her.
Interesting.
We just did a show in Toronto and we
Yeah.
stayed at the Fairmont, and she stayed there 1,000 years ago, and there's a book with she signed in and they have it on display. Could you imagine being that huge?
Yeah.
That they've your signature in a book that you stayed in. She probably doesn't remember any of it happening. It's just that huge. That's the electric energy of a
Definitely.
person. When you were talking about
Oh,
Bill
yeah.
Clinton.
Oh, yeah.
Bill Clinton.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's somebody, I don't know if you guys, well, you have it, but it's either a celebrity or a politician. They walk into a room and the molecules in the room change.
Boom.
Bill
Yes.
Clinton
That- You
can
was
feel
like
it.
that.
The it fact. The
Bill
it fact.
Clinton.
I
felt
met
it with
him
Bill
once,
Clinton.
yes.
I never was in a room with Obama. I was in a room with Trump. But I will tell you that
I was in a room with Mike Johnson and I hated every second of it. That's all I have to say about that.
That's like a creepy energy.
Yeah.
But that was a different creepy, and that's not like wow, molecules are changing. There is, and I don't think you've met the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Mm-hmm.
The Lubavitcher Rebbe,
No.
when you were anywhere near him, the molecules, as you said, the room, the energy was in a completely different energy.
Who's
So
someone you
interesting.
experienced that with?
Yes.
John Lewis, Congressman Lewis.
Which is also in the
who
book.
was
Oh,
he
yeah.
was a
Really?
civil rights icon. Yeah, there was something about him. He just also, It wasn't even just an it factor with him. It was a little bit different. He just had this calming energy.
Wow.
Like everything.
Mine is Mikhail Baryshnikov.
Oh yeah, did he have that?
Oh my God,
Yeah.
yes.
Really?
Yes. What was your favorite Moody joke at the show in the Hampton?
Obviously, the mission we talked about.
It was
no, that
definitely-
wasn't. Was that doing it
Yes,
then? I was doing
yes,
then?
it was the mission. The mission was so funny.
Can I-
the product and the looks. The looks.
looks.
Now Spencer, my boyfriend, I put something on. He's like, "That's a look."
You're pulling a look.
You're
If
pulling
you
a
get
look.
dressed and you look at him like you're pulling a look today.
Oh my God, I
Yes.
So
love
you
it.
can use that.
And there's no reason to never pull a look. Always pull a look.
No matter where you are.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a whole thing. Just bring your Birkin. So okay, she came with a Birkin. Bring a nice
If
Rolex. Bring a nice. Doesn't have to be a whole up to do outfit.
Just
so
elevate it.
yeah. What's your New Year's blessing for my audience?
Oh, I mean, it's so lame, but peace, that we can all just take a breath. I mean, everybody is in our community. We're so on edge.
Yeah.
We're so on edge. And watching what happens, obviously, abroad in Israel, and it's like you get close to the ceasefire in Gaza, and then you don't get it. And you're close and you don't get it. And then you see what's happening in the north, and it's all consuming. Obviously, also, it should have been the first thing I said, that those hostages come home. The hostages come home.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, we are doing an event on October 7th.
Oh,
This will air before?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think so.
Oh.
Would you like to?
On October 7th, we were not sure what to do. So we, in our synagogue, 6th Street Synagogue, we're doing 7th on 6th. We're going to have Eli Levin, an amazing singer who was on the podcast a few episodes ago, and he'll be singing. It's not like singing at concerts, it's more like sing along type of music, Karl Bach types of music, just to feel good and just to be together, not to be alone in your house. Sing.
that's great.
Yeah,
and Liat Korin is going to come, Omer Shem Tov's cousin, who has been relentlessly active.
Yes.
Trying to.
I'm gonna sing Kel Mule Rachamim, the memorial prayer. We'll be singing Hatikva together, which I've been doing since you were there.
Did you do it before October 7th?
Never. October 7th.
You started it on October. Your first
9th.
show after October 7th was October 9th, and you've been doing it every show
Ever since, yeah.
in Paris.
And the Rabbi Gal Bellino who's been a guest will be there, and it's just so you're
and
not
Periel
alone.
will be there.
You're also co-hosting this thing, and just so you're not alone sitting in your house, like thinking, how sad is this? You're in a community. It's gonna be a vibe.
That's very Jewish.
It's very Jewish, yeah.
But you
in
have to
community,
register.
to be with-
If you want to come, you have to register.
And just which is on where?
Go to your Instagram
Go to my Instagram, and it'll be there.
at Modi Live.
We are going to be out of the country on November 6th
We will be.
on accident / on
Oh,
purpose.
I didn't bring my sheet.
Do you think we
Are you
should
gonna be-
extend our stay? We're going to be.
Are you going to vote before you go? Are you absentee voting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Who are you voting? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not asking.
So-
I'm just
I'm not
kidding.
asking that.
no, we're going to be performing in London.
But
on
before we
For
get to that,
Goldwater.
can I ask you,
For
so what do you
Goldwater.
guys do? Because this is like sooner. What do you guys do for Rosh?
Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah.
So it's so funny. We usually have in our house. I go to synagogue. We go to 6th Street Synagogue. And those of you who don't have a place to go, this is in Manhattan on the East Village. Super casual. You don't need a suit. You don't need anything. Just need you to come. But just register. Go to the website first and tell them Modi sent you. I used to do the Kol Nidre services.
Wow.
Yeah, I used to do the Kol Nidre, but we've now hired a guy ever since COVID, and he's doing it, and he's wonderful. We sing along. It's an easy vibe. It's a huge synagogue. If you
Amazing.
need a corner to go hang with your
Beautiful,
friend,
too.
it's just easy. We always do the meal in our house, but my mom's going to be with my sisters, and Leo and I are off as crazy traveling, so I'm going to actually go eat there. And
Eat at your mom's?
no,
at the synagogue?
at the synagogue.
Nice.
Yeah, we usually do it in our house. We usually have 20 something people in our house and in our apartment, and and we do that.
Are you pro gefilte fish or anti?
Love, and he loves my mom's gefilte fish.
Or does your mom make? Because I make a special gefilte fish.
Oh, you
What
do?
do you do?
What's the
Well, it's
secret recipe?
it's different. I mean, so there are people who just do it in the jar,
Right.
right? I don't do like the carp in the bathtub or anything like that.
No, of course not.
But somebody did because, and then when they are done with it, there's like this frozen loaf you could get at the kosher butcher or the kosher market, and it says "Do not defrost."
Right.
I defrost it,
Okay.
and then I put carrot, like I grate carrot, and I put spinach in there, and then I bake it.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Wow.
bake
But you
it.
have to make
yes.
sure not to get the sugar-free kind. The sugar-free kind is terrible.
Sugar-free kind what? What
they,
sugar?
they have sugar-free gefilte fish now,
Yeah.
which is not good.
Wait, you guys.
But the sugar
This is a lot.
But the sugar in the gefilte fish is very minimal.
Very
anyway,
minimal.
So you bake it, and then you put it in the fridge.
Yeah,
And
that's the thing.
that's
The
what my
gefilte
mom
fish
does.
has to be cold.
It has to be
and
cold.
you need the purple horseradish stuff.
Do you like purple, not white?
No.
No,
The,
yeah,
the
I
red.
like
The red.
purple.
The
The
red.
red. The white's
Yeah.
stronger.
I like
White-
the red one.
Right.
I feel like this should be like something that like if you want to really like become like part of
But hold
the
on.
tribe, you have to eat gefilte fish.
It's not that bad.
Jake Cohen was cooking with
Katie
Katie
Couric.
Couric. I want to cook with you. Can we go cook somewhere together?
Okay, I want you to know that Allie's laughing. I
Allie's laughing.
Don't
She's like,
cook.
she doesn't
But
cook.
you guys
don't
could
cook.
make
I make
gefilte
two things
fi-
in my life. I make two things.
Okay, so you'll come over and
This
we'll,
is
we'll,
it.
we'll,
I'll
we'll
make
What
you
are
do
they?
gefilte
Let her talk.
fish.
I do gefilte fish, and I make really good challah French toast.
That's a good thing
Oh,
to
the
have
only
up your
thing.
That's a
sleeve.
thing.
That's
That's
like
a
Okay,
thing.
literally
come on,
it.
even I
and
can
I have
do
a
that.
13-year-old son is like, please don't cook. And he's like, give me your phone. This is why God made DoorDash.
Yes.
I can cook. I just.
I know.
Wait
but
a
you-
second. I want you guys to make gefilte fish.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm into it. I'm
Let's
into a
do
gefilte
it.
fish moment. Absolutely.
That would be really
I
cute.
I'm in for that.
We have to do
So
the
how does
tour
your mom
dates.
make it? Do you know?
I don't know, but she makes it amazing.
She probably does like the
I
carpet
think
in
she
the
does-
bathtub.
She
No,
does that.
no,
She
no,
has
no.
the loaf. She has the.
Yeah.
My mom calls them stink bombs because the
Yeah.
house stinks.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like nobody is allowed to make food in the bathtub. Okay, like
No,
that
it's
is
not making
not
food in the
hygienic.
bathtub. No, it's the
You
live
have to gri-
fish.
You have to grind the fish. Allie's like gonna puke.
My
She
my
hates
grandmother
fish.
had the fish in
Yeah.
the bathtub. Then
Do
she
you
put it in
remember that?
newspaper
Do you have a
and
memory of
smashed
that?
it and killed it.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
That was my father has memories of his grandmother doing that.
Yeah.
So you actually saw that
I
happen?
saw the fish. My mom
Wow.
bought live.
I actually
my
prefer
grandmother
the
bought
fish in the
live.
bathtub. It sounds less processed. It's more farm to table.
Yeah.
You've heard of farm to table. Here's bathtub to table.
Yes, and we put a little Nivea in there so the fish is
Ew.
nice
Yeah.
and.
If it
there's
tastes like
like-
Old Spice, it's because that's my body wash.
And there's
my
like little
God.
hairs in there.
Stop.
Nasty.
Well, we
I
are.
wrote some really serious questions
really
that we didn't
did.
get to.
No,
But
go ahead. Let's just give us a
now they're
flavor.
lame because
Go ahead. Because we went off.
my sister is a journalist.
Oh.
Yes.
She works for a watchdog group that covers New York City public schools.
Shout out to
her.
Christina.
And shout out to Christina.
What's the name of her? Group?
I'm gonna have to insert
Okay,
that
okay.
here.
All right, good.
Because it's changed, I
Sorry.
think.
Okay.
As a leading woman in political journalism, what advice do you have for young women aspiring to work in media, especially political reporting?
Try to turn off or tune out the noise
Mm-hmm.
because there's a lot of it, and it's much better than it used to be for women, but we still have to work like a tick or 10 times harder than men do to get the same recognition.
Mm-hmm.
But don't let that distract you. And the other thing that I would say is, and I feel so lucky that I have fantastic female colleagues and mentors in a way that, like, my mom started out in TV news. She was in it for like a nanosecond.
Oh, really?
Nanosecond. And she was in the 60s. She graduated from journalism school, and there was like a spot for a woman. It was like the quota. So all the women would fight each other to get the spot.
Yeah.
And so it was a total snake pit.
Right.
It's the opposite now. And
yeah.
we really support each other. So I think that is like, look at the other women who do what you do as your colleagues and your friends and your mentors. And we have like a sisterhood, and it's really nice, and it helps a lot.
Very nice.
That's very nice.
Very nice.
A side note, I'm obsessed with Caitlin Collins. Not to
No.
pull focus from you,
No,
but if
he
you
also go ahead. Go
What?
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go
no,
ahead.
that's
Go ahead.
all. That's all I had to say. If
No,
Caitlin
but
Collins somehow hears this,
it is
she's
not.
welcome to come on.
You are the brand. Dana Bash, you're it, but obviously there's a team.
Yeah.
And we okay, so when you do, this is not like some comic that we have on. This is CNN senior correspondent.
Although I think I'm the funniest person I know.
Okay, but which we'll give
A lot
it
of
to you.
people don't agree with.
I'm in on that, but like we had to do a Zoom with your publicist. Leo fell in love
with Dylan. Should we give her a shout out?
Dylan, if you want to come on, open invite.
Oh my God.
Or if you just want to get a drink, girl. I know.
The Zoom began. She's there with this hair, like how's like her hair, like almost a little.
It's a little
Bobby Jennifer Aniston-y, whatever, and the Oxford shirt kind of like loose, and in the background you see her sofa with the CNN throw pillow. Leo was
chef's kiss.
done. Leo was
like,
I'm in love with this woman. Leo loves any woman that's like in control with a clipboard and an earpiece. That's all he wants. And
I want to vote for I would vote for a party planner to be president.
100%.
I get
A
that.
wedding planner. They should be the
100%.
ones running for office and running
It's
the
like
government.
it's a variation of this. I always say that if I had not been a producer, I could never be a mom. Like, I don't understand how people are parents without working in our business.
Really?
Oh my, because you have to produce your life. You have to produce the partner, you have to produce the kids, you have to produce the the pickups and the drop-offs and the sign-ups and
So
the
amazing.
and the Ubers and everything.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
the same kind of
amazing.
deal. Like, you have to be on it.
we have to finish. Oh my God,
Okay.
we have to finish. I cannot thank you enough.
I know. Yeah.
I wish you a happy, healthy New Year, full of Mashiach energy. Everything you do should bring unity and happiness and peace, and we should just all be happy. That's my blessing to you and everybody that's listening to this. This is coming out right after or before Rosh Hashanah, and the best way to create Mashiach energy is to get tickets. And it's not just for you, but for your friends. And we are in
Yes.
everywhere. The tour is released. It's online, modilive.com. We have Buffalo, Toronto, Houston, Hartford,
It's a lot.
Austin.
There's a lot of
There's a
dates.
lot.
There's a
Find
lot
a
of
show
dates.
near you. Find a show near your friends. Send it to them and let them know and get tickets for them and all that. And if you're not like a crazy political person, but you know someone who is, this is an
Or
amazing
you
read. Leo loved it. There we go. Hi.
America's Deadly Election, a cautionary tale of the most violent election in American history.
That's right. A great read for people who understand and can read. Yeah, and
For everyone.
for
How about
everyone.
that? You just leave
Everyone
it at
like
that.
Thank you so
Thank you for
so
taking
much.
the time.
Shana Tova.
Shana Tova,
Shana
Metuka.
Tova.
Happy, healthy New Year, and thank you for sitting on the sidelines.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Allie.
Being the
Bye,
friend.
everybody. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say no. She led me to the promised land of Modi.
She's the friend that
She's-
brought a friend to
Yeah,
the comedy
yeah,
show. I'm
yeah.
saying when you see tickets on sale, don't just buy 2 for you and your spouse or your significant other. Get 4. People
I bought
will
6.
be looking. Yes.
You will not
I
regret
bought
it.
6.
You will not regret it.
I might
on that
regret
note,
it.
we want to also thank our sponsors, A&H Provisions, best glatt kosher meats that there is out there, best #1 hot dogs, all at kosherdog.net. And Weitz and Luxembourg, the law firm that not only does well, they do good, super philanthropic. Arthur Luxembourg, a big fan, and been on the podcast, and his wife Randy, who listens to it and advises him as to what is said on the podcast. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.